The difference between a good Hinge profile and a bad one is everything, because it can literally be the difference of whether you meet somebody that you end up marrying or whether it's something casual. It's everything. And if you half ass it, you're going to get half ass results. So we're going to go over everything you need to know to start getting results today. And we're going to start with pictures. And let's say you don't have any good ones at all. Here's what I recommend doing. We'll get two selfies, two stage photos, and I'll explain what that means in a second, and two fillers, because Hinge requires six. I think that's like a lot. I think fillers are completely fine as long as you have like a couple really good clear face shots. And here's mine. It's just one picture of myself when I was a kid and one picture of my dog. They get a decent amount of attention. I'm working with a guy and he ends up using a picture of a guitar, a custom guitar that he made. It could be anything like that. Even if you really don't have any ideas of what to use, you can just use a scenic picture. Again, it doesn't really matter that much. Now for the stage pictures, what you'll want is a picture that looks like it was taken by somebody else. I mean, if you have somebody else to take it, that's great, but it's not needed. So here's an example from a profile I reviewed the other day. He's just cooking. It can literally be that simple. I worked with somebody who had probably the best one I've seen yet. Was one when he was woodworking in his garage. Just looked really, really good. He also had one by his drum set. It just looked like somebody came into the room where his drum set is. He was sitting at his drum set. It looked like he just stopped playing as like a family member came in and took a picture of him playing, and he just stopped for a second and looked at the camera. But in reality, he had a tripod set up and he planned the whole thing, and it looked very natural. And it's also kind of cool because, you know, he's at a drum set. What if there's some woman who ends up looking at his profile who's really into drums and playing and anything like that? It's just like probably the best way you can do it if you can integrate a hobby. You could also have one working on your car. You could have one working out, playing with your dogs. And if you do have a dog, going out and taking some pictures like this isn't a bad idea. You can like go on a hike or whatever. Now, in terms of selfies, they're very, very important. You want clear face shots. And I talked about this in my last video, but focal length is very important, as well as lighting. And those are like the two big things. And you can apply what I'm about to tell you to your stage photos as well. But if you're watching this video that on your computer and can pull up your phone, take a picture with your selfie camera and then turn it around so the rear camera is being used. Put it at arm's length away because you're going to be zoomed in, and make sure it's at 3x zoom because that's using a telephoto lens, and that's equivalent to around 3 is typically equivalent to around 75 millimeters, which is like the Hollywood standard for faces. You're going to look a lot better, but give it a shot. And in my last video, I did exactly that. And here are the two pictures that I got, with the left one being my selfie image. It is significantly different. It might be a bit of a relief because it's like, oh, I don't actually look that bad, that, you know, and that's, you know, the rear camera just without proper lighting and everything, you're going to see a big difference. But that's the other thing, lighting. The best thing that I can say is to just try a bunch of different lighted environments, try a bunch of different angles of the camera, even shirts or whatever that you're wearing. And ideally have the light evenly lit on your face so there's no strong shadows. Ideally, the light isn't above you. So maybe like a lamp, if it's a warmer light too, it's typically a lot more attractive. And on top of all this, using a 4K video, or like putting your phone setting to record a 4K video, and then you can edit it after and just find the best frame that is like accurate, but of course, a lot more flattering. And you don't have to go crazy with this right now if you haven't like put a lot of effort into your pictures. With doing this and doing everything else I say in this video, you should get noticeably better results. And then that's more motivating for you to after put even more effort into your pictures, you know, if you want. Like, it's just the main thing is that you make the most important changes. And then from there, you know, once you're actually seeing the results, it is a lot more motivating to be like, you know what, I'm going to, you know, keep trying. I'm going to try a different area. Maybe I'll take my dog out, get that like stage picture or things like that. So before we move on to prompts, let me touch on some quick settings and things. The main thing here, putting monogamy as relationship type and long-term relationship as your dating intention. Saying anything else will tank the quality and the quantity of your matches. This is just a fact at this point. Personally, I don't see anything wrong with that as long as you're actually open to a relationship happening. Also, you're not excluded from seeing women who are open to short term anyway. But once your profile is set up, you're going to get likes, matches, and dates. And then that's when you can start being more selective. Like, for one thing, keep the maximum distance for potential matches pretty large. Like, if I don't know, like maybe 40-minute travel time, which might seem insane, but it also just kind of helps curate the algorithm a little bit. And I remember when I was very inexperienced with dating, that I took like a lot of dates. Like, I went on a lot of dates, and some of them were like well over an hour away, which is crazy. But the intent was so that I wouldn't be nervous on them anymore. So that when a woman that I really, really like comes along, then I'm just kind of like prepared, and I know what I'm doing, and I'm confident. And yeah, it worked out very well. So if your goal is experience, which for a lot of you it should be, if you haven't been on more than like 5 dates, it should probably just be experience. Just get used to talking to as much women as you can and going on a lot of dates and having fun. And, that's when you kind of grow, and that's when you attract, even better women who are just better matched towards you. But the one thing that you might want to be strict on, though, from the get go is your age range. Because if you're, wanting women who are like, or being shown to women who are significantly younger than you, like 10 years younger, you're just going to get a lot of rejections when you could have been shown to women who are more likely to say yes. That's probably the only thing. I mean, I'm 35, and I find anything below 27 is like a big drop off. So, like 8 years, yeah, that is quite significant still. I mean, maybe that's a preference thing, but play around with it a little bit. If you really just like, again, want to like maximize it, I would say 5 years below, maybe even 4 years below your age, and then a little bit higher. Again, it does increase your dating pool, but you want the highest percentage of chance of a yes for the woman that you're shown to. And now on member preferences, I just recommend being open to all. Again, we'll filter at a later date. Now, for a very quick tangent, I just want to add that the most important thing for a man's happiness in his dating life, it's abundance. Like, when you have options, you have peace. Like, I'm not even saying this is about being a player or whatever. I'm saying you will literally be a better boyfriend and a better husband when she's in your life because of choice. You're not like guys who get all jealous and emotional. She won't ever hold the keys to your physical and emotional needs. She's in your life because you want her to be, and she's going to be more attracted to you in the end because you're not the type that chases. But to actually develop this peace of mind, to have options, to have abundance, you have to go through this process. Like, being able to use the app, meet somebody within a week, go to the second date, go to the third date, know how to make a move and all of this. Like, the whole process for meeting somebody, even if it's just hookups or whatever, meeting somebody to the hookup to whatever it is, you have to have confidence in every step. You can't be like a little bit like super uncertain or nervous. Go through that a few times, actually meet somebody. And if you do that several times over within a few months, you'll stop doing things like obsessing about saying the wrong thing. Or I know so many guys just like will spend so much mental effort crafting the perfect text message response. All that shit goes out the window. You don't have that, time for that. It's not like you don't need things to go well for your dating life to be good. Like, you don't need an individual woman to actually, like you enough. Then everything changes. So just keep that in mind. It's kind of like a skill set that you're developing. And really, your life changes from that point. And it did for me. And I'm saying, like, it's not about being a player. You are literally becoming more attractive because your emotions are just kind of they're stable. Whatever happens, like, you're good. You're good. But you have the peace, which is really what, it's most important. But let's get back to Hinge. So, in terms of subscription tiers, if you've never used Hinge before, then I recommend using the free version for at least a few weeks, just so you can get a baseline of what your profile and the woman that you're interested in, like what it actually gets you in terms of likes. And then after a few weeks, you can try the paid version and see how it compares. But in most cases, I do recommend getting Hinge Plus or ideally Hinge X if you can afford it, just because you can just brute force this and get a ton of experience, get that abundance. like the actual mindset. Like that's not something you can fake. You have to like go on a bunch of dates and just go through the process a bunch of times. And Hingex can make that happen a lot quicker because you have the unlimited legs. But let's get to prompts. So there are two very common and very big mistakes that guys make with them. Number one, they list their personality traits. Like saying you're driven, saying you're supportive, chill, like that holds no weight. It's like, okay, sure. Like anybody can say anything like that. It does nothing for the reader. And like I bet, or I know for sure, like a lot of women, they'll just instinctually think the opposite. I mean, I kind of do that too. If somebody says they're, chill, down to earth, I'm like, okay, there's probably a higher likelihood that they're not motivated or whatever. Or if somebody says they're very like driven and motivated, I probably think, they're type A or whatever. It just doesn't really move the needle when you list those kind of things. Secondly, saying what you're looking for. Again, that holds no weight. It's like, I mean, for one thing, it is already in your bio. And secondly, it's not something that can create a connection. So what actually can? Well, the entire point of a good prompt is to hook the right person. It's truly not about casting a wide net. Because there's a saying in marketing, if you're talking to everybody, you're talking to nobody. It's exactly the same thing with Hinge. And as I always say, if the perfect woman came to your profile, would they even know? If you don't share specific things about yourself, they won't. And this is what a good prompt is. So give this some thought. What are the things you really like to talk about? You could use a prompt like, teach me something about, that's one. And then literally list what you're going to school for or what you're even doing for work. If it's something of interest to you. Like if you're if you're going to school for your CPA or law degree, that is something very interesting and it's kind of like also impressive. Easy option to do there. And this morning I saw a woman. It's a really good example of a good prompt, and it was very simple. And she had the poll option where you can just choose 3 different, selections. And it said, let's chat about. And I remember one of the options was Brandon Sanderson. And the reason why this is so good, because she didn't mention that she likes reading. She didn't mention even a certain genre, but a specific author. That's being specific. And to the right person, Brandon Sanderson, if you don't know, like he's a notable author of a certain genre, I guess. I don't know. I don't really know very well. I did watch the Wheel of Time TV show and I thought that was okay before it got canceled. But to the right person, that is like a whole conversation. It's a perfect conversation too, because you don't have to think about responses. Like if you find somebody who's really into something that you're really into, like you will want to talk to them. Like putting aside the fact of like Hinge or whatever, that's going to be an interesting and engaging conversation. And that's, you have to put that kind of stuff in your profile to have conversations because, I mean, it's really hard to have very boring conversations and just sometimes it's unavoidable that you just have to talk to them and just be like, what did you get up to today? And it's just blah, 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 back and forth. But, if you put those seeds out there, if you are able to be specific, like she did, it can have some great conversations, and then you can literally just talk about that and then ask them out after like, a half dozen messages or so. And the great thing is you only need a single hook like that. So if she also mentioned a bunch of other things, like if I was into Brandon Sanderson, but she also mentioned that she likes to, I don't know, go rock climbing and I don't care about that. Maybe she's really into baseball and I don't care about that. Like it just doesn't matter. You can have all these other hooks that might be highly relevant to somebody else. But you only need one because then that's a conversation starter. And to give you another example, I have my interest in astronomy listed on my profile. And as of right now, I'm literally talking to an astrophysicist. I think that is so freaking cool. Like low-key intimidated that, okay, she's pretty smart here. But that's a really big advantage of dating apps because I could go cold approach 100 women, 500 women, and I might not meet an astrophysicist. So you can just put those things out and you can actually like meet somebody who's just really into the same stuff as you. And Also, here's my prompts right now. I first have an audio one. I have a very recent video on my channel for the different directions you can take this. I highly recommend you including one. It's just a great way to show off your vibe a bit. Second prompt of mine is autumn and astronomy, as I just mentioned. And this is my next one. I could be a little bit more specific about sci-fi, but Day Drive to Manning Park gets a lot of attention, as well as the artist. Like, I didn't just say anything about hiking, that I like hiking. I got specific. I mentioned a park. It's like an hour or so away. Just a great drive. I've had a lot of women talk about that and comment on it. So, if you can get some ideas from that. And then finally, there's the one that goes well with one of my filler picks. And if I scroll up to the top, is where my video where I'm talking to the camera. I highly, highly recommend you do this. This is my X factor. Women are swiping, and when a video pops up, you don't see it. It just like even if a woman who's I am not interested in had a talking head style video as their main image, I would watch it. And like just so by default, I'm getting a lot more eyeballs and a lot more attention. And that's most likely like better signs for the algorithm because it's kind of like a hook. Like, what the hell? Somebody's created a video. You don't see that. Like, it's just going to like make them at least watch it, regardless of their interest in me. And yeah, it's again 2, 3, maybe even 5x my results. It really is my X factor. I keep talking about this video or that video, so I gotta stop at some point so I don't repeat myself. But if you do want me to kind of deep dive into it, how to do it with just your phone, different things you can talk about, let me know. But now, before we get into the actual liking and matching with profiles, I want to go over a few quick points. First is, if you've already been using Hinge for a while, what I recommend doing is, after you make the changes that I'm talking about, is to reset your account. Just go into the settings, and I believe you go down to where it says to like pause or delete your account. A screen will pop up if you want to reset it, and say yes, and you're a blank slate. Now the algorithm has to relearn with all your changes, and it's just gonna it's gonna catch up to your changes a lot quicker. Secondly, Hinge boosts or roses are not worth the money. I've tested them all myself. If you're going to spend money, put it towards the subscription tiers. The third thing, the apps really prioritize active users. So if you can just kind of spread out your likes, ideally. I mean, if you're on every single day, that's probably good enough just to like get your likes out. But if you have the time to do it, just kind of hop on, maybe spread them out a little bit. Try to hit at least like 30 a day. 30 is kind of like the sweet spot. 50 is okay if you're really like giving her for a little bit. Next, sometimes if you've, been talking to a lot of women, but then as it happens, certain chats just don't go anywhere, I wouldn't delete them. Once in a while, you can go back, reach out to somebody. They hit a point where they're now more motivated to actually meet somebody, and it works sometimes. I wouldn't put too much effort into this, but it's worth a shot because I keep hearing about, guys being able to met somebody doing exactly that. Next, don't power like every profile. This is very important. The algorithm wants you to say no, and it also wants you to actually try to curate your profile so it actually knows who to show you and who's like the most likely, woman who's able to match up with you. Another thing, if you are interested in getting Hinge Plus or Hinge X, if you wait long enough on the free version, which is, in my experience, just like a month, they usually offer you a discount sometimes. Or for me, the last time I did it was half off. So, that's, if you're wanting to save some money there, that's a good way to do it. And something else, a lot of people recommend, if you go up to the top on your feed and there's like this active today feature. Now, logically, this makes sense. You want that enabled because you want people who are active. Because if they're active, if it says even if they're active now, it will show that too. But I've tested this, and not only did it like not actually provide me more matches, but I got about half the amount as I did just normally. I don't know why, but it's just the way it is. If you feel like testing it and letting me know, that would be great too. But from my understanding, it's not worth it. So don't bother with it. Now, your pictures are obviously very, very important. That's your batting rate, your hit rate, essentially. But What guys miss so often is how you should pay an equal amount of attention to your number of at-bats, how many times you go up to the plate. So essentially, how often you are swiping. And as I said, 30 is a pretty good baseline if you're paying for it. If you're only using the free versions, then max out your likes on Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge every single day. It's not bad. I have a recent video on this on my test that I had, I think, like 18 matches in a month, which is like, everybody can pretty much get at least a date from that, most likely 2 or 3, but otherwise 30, maybe 50 if you're using the Hinge Plus or Hinge X. Very important, very important, don't bother commenting on profiles. It is a waste of time. For one thing, women can only see a single like at a time on their page of likes, and yours could just get buried, especially because others on Hinge X or Hinge Plus are going to bump up on top of you because they have the prioritized likes. But more importantly is that it just takes so much longer when you're looking through a list of women. Like, commenting 30 per day would be so exhausting. And you just want to be looking at the profiles, hit X or hit like, maybe once in a while scrolling down, but otherwise don't bother commenting because it just takes so much time to think of something to say and all that. Like, once everything's set up, once you've got a rhythm for it, it should take like 10 minutes out of your day, including messaging. Really, it should be that quick, which is like, you have no excuse not to do that because that's not a big time investment. But let's get to the messaging. So I'll break it down for you, but if you need some extra guidance, I do go into it a little bit deeper on my channel. I'll link to the videos that are relevant below. I highly recommend it if you're feeling lost on this part, or that your questions, if it feels like an interview or feels boring, check this out. Sometimes boring happens, but you should know what you're doing. So after you get a match, skim their profile for something to talk about. This can be anything she said in her prompts, something she did in her pictures. And similar to crafting prompts, the best conversations are about something specific, as they're just engaging, and the chats will flow so much better. And even if her profile has nothing at all to ask about, if you say something like what she got up to today, that is so much more specific and so much more helpful for a response that you can work with, than asking how their day is going. Because what did you get up to today? She could say work. She could say she hung out with her dog, and or she played video games or whatever it is. Like, that are things that you can actually dig deeper into. And if you just asked, how's it going? She's going to be like, good. How's it going for you? And then you're back at square one, trying to figure out what the hell to say next. And that's like the worst thing, because again, you can just like get burnt out just overthinking things. And yeah, being specific, it helps. You don't realize it, but it just kind of, creates a foundation for a conversation to go in a lot of different directions. But the main thing is, if she's actually interested in meeting somebody, you won't need to chat for days on end. And I know a lot of people will think like, okay, if I don't get a lot of matches, what I'll want to do is to just invest more time in there, so the likelihood of that she'll agree to it, will go up. But that's not really how it works out at all, because a lot of women just aren't interested in meeting you, no matter what you say, or they're not interested in meeting anybody. It's just kind of like for fun, for attention or whatever. And if you're spending more time talking and being more invested and it doesn't work out, that's just going to lead to burnout from the apps. And that's also time that you could have spent swiping or liking. So a good ballpark is to go for like 10 or 12 exchanges of messages. Doesn't have to be some exact science, but that's like a good length of time where it's like, okay, you've had enough back and forth. If she's interested, she'll probably agree to it. But on my last video, I actually tested just to make a point. I did it within 4 exchanges of messages. I think once was 3. I did it a few times. They all said yes. So it just kind of shows that if they're motivated to meet somebody, then that's really all that matters, and that they like you. And there's also the fact that a lot of women are kind of like maybes, and then some women are just, if you've used the app already, some women are just highly motivated to meet you. Like, they're yeses, and you just kind of want to hit a high enough volume so you just get a lot more of the yeses and can just, dismiss the maybes or the nos. But that's it. Now, some people might think so crazy or whatever, but it's stupid to think that because this is the difference of meeting somebody that has a lot more in common with you, meeting somebody that could actually go the distance with you, you know, meeting somebody that you'll end up marrying versus somebody that you'll not. And the crazy thing is, it doesn't take that long. You can put a day aside to do all these things, and it will 100%, 100% move you towards the direction that you want to go and make a noticeable difference in the number of likes, matches, and the quality of them. It is worth the time. It is worth the effort. Like I'm not ever dismissing the fact that it shouldn't be easier. Like obviously it should be easier. That'd be really great. But do you want to bitch about the rules of the game, or do you just want to learn them so you can play them and so you can win? And that's really what it comes down to. So don't listen to all the negativity, especially on YouTube. Like I get venting. Like it's dating in 2025 shouldn't be difficult, and it's very stressful, and being lonely sucks. But there's a path forward, and the path isn't as hard as what you think. And you just have the option to try to figure it out, try to figure out dating if that's what you're wanting to do at this time in your life. You can figure it out or you can complain about it. That's, you plain won't do anything. So just move forward and you'll find that the light at the end of the tunnel is not that far away. But anyway, if you want a more direct route, I'll have my email and stuff listed in the description if you want my help. But I will talk to you again later. Peace.